Both of my parents have recently gotten sick, so I decided to give a large chunk of my salary to my parents so they don't have to worry about money. Well, I thought that my wife would be supporting of this because they know how important family and my parents are to me, but when I discovered that she is not happy about this, I was truly blown away at the choice of words that she decided to use. Let me tell you all about it. So, this title is self-explanatory, but I, 39 male, have had a lot I need to get off my chest. So this is going to be a long post. I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking for by posting this, but today was one of the worst days of my life, and frankly, I need to vent. I'm not trying to sound like a downer, but I've been miserable for a very long time. I'm scared about what the future holds for me because I have a huge change and it's about to take place. I'm not sure if I've made the right decision or not, but I'm hoping I did. I would appreciate any advice, support, or just plain kind words any of you are reading this has for me. Let me tell you about Vanessa. 37, female. Full disclosure, I was a bit of a nerd growing up in school. I was bullied for being studious and geeky, but I was determined to succeed. I didn't put much focus on dating. Vanessa was the first woman to give me a lot of attention in college. She was wild, free, and she liked to go to concerts and party and have fun. And these were all things I was so unfamiliar with. She got me to loosen up, and we had a lot of great times together, and they often say that opposites attract, and it was certainly true in the case of me and Vanessa. Not long after we both graduated college, I asked Vanessa to marry me. We were both so excited about what the future held for us. Well, we were young and naive, and most importantly, head over heels in love. We thought that we would survive any hurdle this universe could throw at us, and we foolishly believed that we would come out the other side of the ordeal, having become an even stronger unit. How young and silly we were. Soon after college, I began to see the sense that Vanessa was experiencing something of a refusal to grow up. Although she seemed to be semi-serious about college and her career while we were both students, I was frankly a bit too concerned with my own school courses and finishing up my degree to pay much attention to the amount of work that she was doing. I found out later she was only attending college and doing the bare minimum because her father, Tony, was footing the bill for all of it and providing her with all the money that she would just blow on festivals and drugs. But I was too blind to her irresponsible nature at the time. I'll tell you more about Tony Pizza. His tendencies to spoil his little princess Vanessa would surely lead to a host of problems in our marriage later on down the road. Anywho, me and Vanessa moved in together not long after college. In hindsight, this was a mistake, but at the time I just thought Vanessa needed some more time to figure out what she wanted to do after finishing college. I immediately got started on my career in the business field, dealing with investments and so on, but Vanessa was always made artistically inclined. She tried to open up a jewelry store, a spiritual crystal store, an Etsy shop, eBay store, you name it. She even tried to start a YouTube channel. She seemed to try every trick under the sun to make a bit of money, just short of actually getting off her butt and filling out a job application. I was always too nice to her, and whenever I would be firm and suggest that she gets a normal job and help out more around the house, Vanessa would throw one of her infamous temper tantrums. I know, it sounds pathetic, but I guess I was just insecure that I would not be able to find a woman again if I split with Vanessa. The problem grew as I got older, and it was not my looks or my income that was the problem, but the nature of my office job just simply took up too much of my time, and I barely had time to spend with my wife as is. So how was I supposed to try to engage in regular dating or social life? When I would plan elaborate dates and vacations for me and Vanessa, sometimes they would be fun, stress-free outings, and that reminded me why I fell in love with her in the first place. But even this soon faded as my work responsibilities grew larger. Me and Vanessa would soon have fewer and fewer dates, and when we would go on these dates or vacation trips, Vanessa would often spend the entire time texting on her phone, not saying a word to me, except to ask for a bit of money, just to go store shopping. I was footing the bill for the hotels, gas, plane tickets, rental cars, concert tickets, and so much more. I didn't mind doing this at first because I was in love with Vanessa and loved spending time with her, but I got tired of doing all the legwork. I felt like I was putting in all the effort, and I reached a point where I'd rather spend time at my job than take Vanessa on these lavish trips. The true nail in the coffin when it comes to Vanessa's personality was the gradual increase of her drug and alcohol abuse. When we were both in college, sure, we experimented, it never got out of control. When I graduated from college, I got sober except for having the occasional beer. But Vanessa continued to drink a lot and do other drugs as well, and soon she got hooked on a prescription drug, and this exasperated all her worst personality traits. She became even more immature and unpleasant to be around, and she would try to rationalize this habit by telling me all the pills were coming from doctors, but the doctors did not realize she was abusing. As time went on, me and Vanessa's marriage became like one of those sad marriages you would see in a movie, when you watch these two people on screen who merely tolerate each other's existence out of some fear of loneliness, and you sit there hoping you never end up like these chumps. You think it's cliché that will never apply to you until you find yourself having dreams at night about divorcing your wife who now sleeps in a separate bedroom. I found myself in this exact same scenario. Anytime me and Vanessa had a fight, she would go stay at Tony Pizza's house for the evening. I began to wish that she would just move in with her father permanently. Okay, let's fast forward to the present day, shall we? And a little has changed with me and Vanessa's marriage. We have a gardener Vanessa begged me to hire named Deacon, a 24-year-old male, and I'm reasonably certain Vanessa has been having an affair with him, but I don't have the proof. I know the two of them will disappear, go get lunch together when it's Deacon's lunch break, but she swears the two of them are just friends. Frankly, I didn't want to hire a gardener to begin with. I love working in our garden and growing my own vegetables and fruits when I get the time. It's one of the few things in my life I actually get to have some peace reflecting on, and just meditate a bit. Deacon certainly has helped the garden look way better, but Vanessa's seeming infatuation with him is suspicious, to say the least. I must admit, the sad and unpleasant realization concerning the reality of my marriage have taken a back seat to a much more pressing issue in my life. My parents, who, by the way, have urged me to divorce Vanessa several times over the years, I might add, in a typical stroke of luck seemingly only experienced by people who were cursed such as myself, were both diagnosed with serious illnesses at the same time. They're both getting older, so I knew eventually one of them was going to get sick, but both of them getting sick at the same time has totally blindsided me, man. Look, money's not an issue. I make plenty of money, and I don't say that in some snarky, arrogant manner, but even somebody with a high income can't juggle 3 whole adults on his own. My parents were diagnosed with a type of illness that renders them unable to work to support themselves. As difficult as I knew it was going to be, I did what I thought was the right move and just the thing to do. I started putting in more hours to work and began covering my parents' medical bills, utility bills, groceries, and more. I didn't want them to have a worry about anything, a single thing, so they could focus on following the doctor's orders and getting their health back in shape. As I should have expected, Vanessa did not seem to take this well. Although she is catty, rude, passive-aggressive, and quite mean, she often does not raise her voice at me unless she's truly mad. She's usually in such a stupor from all the pills that she's on that she can't muster the energy, but today she went off on me like I have never seen before. She had just taken some pills and began drinking alcohol, so she was acting a little crazy anyways. She said things to me during this argument that I would never say to anybody, let alone the spouse I'm supposed to love. I was appalled by her words to me, which I will not repeat here. She made rude remarks about how I never satisfy her, never take her out anymore, and now I'm, quote, giving all of our money to my parents? She said my parents are grown-ups who could take care of their own self. She did not have the foresight to see the irony in this statement, but it was immediately apparent to me. While I still love Vanessa on some level, as crazy as it sounds, today was the straw that broke that camel's back for my marriage. The Vanessa I fell for in my college days is not in there. Or perhaps it's the fact that she never much matured past her college mindset that's caused our love to wane. You see, no matter the issue, I knew once I heard her badmouth of my parents and demanding I give her the money instead of helping out the two people who raised me and loved me my whole existence, I knew that this was it. This was the end of me and Vanessa as we knew it. You all should have seen the look on her face when I told her that too. It took me all the courage in the world, but I produced a divorce paper and told her she could sign the dotted lines and get the heck off my property, or I would call the police, to escort her out and then take her to divorce court. Her choice. She began screaming, pleading for me to change my mind, but when she saw I showed no signs of budging, she went right back into the callous, name-calling, temper tantrum behavior she's oh so used to. Vanessa signed those papers and hit the road. I assume she's staying with her lousy father, Tony Pizza, who's nothing but a jerk if you ask me, but despite the adrenaline I got from standing up to Vanessa, I'm still heartbroken, absolutely. Heartbroken, I have to start completely over now. Guys, please just give me some sort of guidance. I mean, any that you have. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So today's story is actually about to get a whole lot crazier. I hope you're ready for this one because I have multiple updates. If you guys are new to the channel, you're gonna want to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss these daily stories. And let's go ahead and jump into update number 1. Hey guys, OP here, another update. First, I'd like to just give my sincere thanks for the outpourings of support and understanding I received from most of the people who commented. I understand why people say the internet is the best place to vent because you guys all made me feel a little less alone when I read through all your comments. Unfortunately, I wish I could say I'm feeling better about all this junk going on, but I have a feeling there's a long bumpy road ahead and things are only going to get worse. I must confess, I got quite drunk last night after Vanessa left. I usually don't drink more than a couple of beers, so I wasn't quite accustomed to the amount I drank. I passed out and ended up sleeping in a quite late into the afternoon. Normally, Deacon will show up to begin his gardening duties sometime early in the morning, and I'm usually up to see him out there working, or already at work. I took the day off once I realized I was going to be too hungover to go in and be productive. I woke up, expecting to see a well-curated garden or some evidence of work, but what I saw instead made me furious. My entire garden was in shambles. Shrubs, bushes had been cut so bad as to look as ugly and unappealing as possible, and so many of my plants, vegetables, and fruits have been stepped on and destroyed. This is ridiculous. No sign of Deacon on my premises, but it was obvious that he committed this act. I'd foolishly given Deacon a key to our property some time ago, and on the insistence of Vanessa, of course. I don't know why I so foolishly gave in to trusting this guy who was a relative stranger to me, and who was probably only interested in messing around with my wife. Obviously, this is far from over. Wish me luck. Update number 2. Hello guys, back for another update. I took everybody's advice and filed a police report on Deacon. The cops told me they had little to go on, but would try to interview Deacon when they had the chance. They said it would be better if I had some concrete proof, and they told me bluntly that the city was so backlogged with real crimes that they weren't concerned about vandalism. Wow, the level of disrespect I received was shocking. I guess they just don't take garden vandalism serious anymore. Well, much to my chagrin, it looks as if I might have to deal with the authorities yet again. I received a visit at my home today from Vanessa's father, Tony Pizza. He showed up on his fancy, flashy suit. It was one of those suits he wore when he wanted to look important and intimidating. First, he showed up late at night without any warning. He didn't text, he didn't call, and I opened up the door because the loud knock on it sounded like the police. I assumed that they were coming to ask more details about the issue with Deacon, but I was met with Tony Pizza, staring at me looking angry. Tony told me in uncertain terms that there could possibly be consequences for me if I did not reconsider the divorce, and I told him to get off my property, dude. And he laughed, looked at me, and walked away. Update number 3. Hello everyone again. Thanks to those of you who have been reading and leaving constructive comments and good advice so far. I truly appreciate it. After my useless interaction with the police, after Deacon sabotaged my beautiful garden, one of the few sources of joy I had left in this life, I decided I needed to up my game if I wanted to put a stop to any tomfoolery Vanessa and her gang of goons were willing to extract upon me. Well, I decided to stop at Home Depot and pick up some top-of-the-line security cameras to install them around the property. It took me all afternoon to get the task done, but it was already paying off for me. Allow me to explain. I did not think Deacon would be dumb enough to return to my house after the stunt I'm certain he pulled in my garden. I guess Deacon waited a little while for any heat from the cops to die down, and once he saw that the cops weren't going to make any attempt to apprehend him, this guy felt comfortable enough to waltz onto my property yet again. I went to bed last night and slept like an absolute baby, knowing that any impropriety would be documented for the authorities. Well, should anything crazy pop off. Sure enough, my gut instinct always proves to be correct, although even I was astounded by the stupidity I witnessed. So, viewing the security camera footage, I was jarred awake by a blistering loud alarm. I received an activity alert around 4 in the morning, and there he was, not even making an attempt to disguise himself. Deacon. He was creeping around my backyard, scattering seeds on my land, and I went out and took a look and immediately recognized the evidence of kudzu seeds having been planted on my land. Kudzu is an invasive species that could take over my entire house if not treated right away. There had to be some reason Deacon was sabotaging my land, so I shouted at him. He started to run. As I turned the corner around the street, I saw him getting into a car, and I saw the unmistakable silhouette of Vanessa in the passenger seat, and my suspicions of their affair were confirmed right then and there. I darted toward the vehicle in some sort of vain attempt to catch up to them, but the car took off speeding. These poor fools. They have no idea what I have in store for them. They have no idea every bit of this junk that was caught on my security camera. Update number 4. Hello everyone. I know many of you told me to report the security footage to the authorities after my last update, and I must say I was already ahead of you. At least I know that great minds think alike, but yes, that was the plan all along. I immediately called up the authorities and forced them to spend some time watching the footage. When the police showed up at my house, they were initially just as dismissive if they've been when Deacon, who decided to screw up my garden the first time around. They treated me like I was suffering from some sort of paranoid delusion, and they even cracked some snide remarks about my mental health. I kept my cool throughout the ignorance displayed by these police officers and persevered. I made them watch the footage. That's when all the cops shut their mouths and began to take me pretty serious. They decided to investigate in the backyard and were able to find some evidence. Apparently, the police already have Deacon's DNA from his prior convictions. He's no stranger to the police, so I'm now just waiting for the police to test these pieces of evidence to see if they match with Deacon, and I'm certain that they will. But that's not all that happened today. Wow, it was quite an eventful evening. The police left my home saying that they would try to track down Deacon, just to ask him some questions about the camera footage and any DNA evidence, and I had a good feeling about all this. But not even 5 minutes after the police left, I saw a fancy black Cadillac pull into my driveway. Was he watching this entire interaction? There he was, Tony Pizza. I could sense Tony had been drinking. Normally, he was cool, calm, and collected, but he seemed livid and borderline frightening, and he started to threaten me, telling me to call off the investigation into Deacon and telling me I needed to remarry Vanessa or else. I stood my ground and stood up to this bully for once in my life and Tony tried to beat me up. He punched me in the face a few good times, and I managed to get my cell phone and dialed emergency. The police were very close by already and luckily arrived in time before Tony Pizza could do much damage to me. The police tackled Tony right away and hauled him away. The same cop who had been such a smarty pants to me the first time I called apologized to me this time for all the drama that I've been going through. I wanted to fill you all in on this crazy stuff that, well, just happened. Now I'm just waiting for some results. I'm tired of the abuse from these crazy people. Final updates. OP here. While I've enjoyed my time sharing this drama with you all, and while I've appreciated all the great advice and support I've received, I'm happy to say this will be my last update. If you've been following the story thus far, you'll know that the police got a sample of evidence from my yard, and sure enough, guessed it right, the DNA was an exact match for Deacon, and he was promptly tracked down and arrested. He was staying at Tony Pizza's house with Vanessa, and police raided the property and found illegal guns, evidence of money laundering, and more. All because Deacon and Vanessa's stupidity brought the heat on everyone. I pressed charges against Deacon and Tony, and I intended to prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, and I prepared for court by hiring a ruthless lawyer who took them to the cleaners. The judge sentenced Deacon and Tony to hard time in prison for the involvement in said crimes. Vanessa cannot be implicated on anything, but I think she's better off that way. If she went to jail, she would have people taking care of her. Now she's out on her own without me, her dad, or Deacon to leech off of. After court was over, she got on her knees and pleaded for me to take her back. I simply looked at her and laughed and said, "No." It was a satisfying feeling. She'll have to fend for herself. Okay, let's fast forward to today. Vanessa's homeless, penniless last I heard. A college degree did not help her since she's lazy and also addicted to stuff. And my parents were able to focus on their health and get back to normal. I decided to let them move into my house since Vanessa wasn't around to take up space anymore. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you for reading. Vanessa, Deacon, and Tony Pizza. I mean, they really got the definition of karma in today's story. We see OP, who has been going through it. I mean, his parents were sick. He has to deal with this nightmare of a relationship where she's obviously cheating. And then at the end of the story, we finally see a bit of justice served. A bit of karma in the form of evidence that OP uses to basically get all three of these people either sent to jail or homeless. And I just want to know your thoughts about it, guys, because today's story was a wild ride of emotions. Drop your comments downstairs in our comment section, and if you guys are new to the channel, I want to welcome you. Thank you for joining me today. My name's Mr. Redito, and I narrate drama stories just like today's every single day. So if you want more daily videos, the best way is just to subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.